Okay.
That looks so weird. This just makes me so happy.
All right, I'm gonna get a picture of it.
All right, my name's Dakota, and this is Better Ideas, and I only eat meat and fat.
Hey guys, my name's Dakota, and this is the Better Ideas podcast. Thanks for tuning in. If this is your first time, then this is just a podcast where I talk to creative people who inspire me to want to learn about them. And I share that with you guys. So far, I've talked to musicians, photographers, videographers, journalists, just friends of mine, just any interesting conversation that I feel could be shared. That's kind of the gist of what I'm doing here. I'm going to be uploading this today from Logic Pro instead of GarageBand, which I'm so excited about. One more thing that's going to make the quality of this podcast a little bit better, and I have to thank my friend Zach Mayfield for that. Zach is the guy who I'm going to be talking to in this episode. He's also the guy who gave me a download of Logic, and I'm really, really excited about that because, you know, as you guys know, I like to also make music, and Logic is kind of like GarageBand on steroids, and I can do a lot more with it. So I'm really, really excited to just experiment with that and play around on that for the next couple of days. Anyways, this conversation with Zach is really cool because we haven't really been able to talk or hang out since episode 2. If you guys are familiar with that, we kind of did a whole like backstory of his on episode 2 and gave you guys a really good introduction as to who Zach Mayfield is. And since recording that episode, his band was signed to Solid State Records, and they've been really busy, so to speak. And I think they're in the process of recording another album, and they're just tearing it up right now. So check out Earth Groans if you've never heard of them. But believe it or not, Earth Groans is not Zach's full-time job. His full-time job is with Mayfield Creative, where he is a filmmaker. He started his own company right out of college, and that's kind of been what's paying his bills at the moment, which I think is really, really cool. This guy is a real creative entrepreneur. He's also been doing a vlog on the side, which we're going to get a little bit more into because I don't think he had started that vlog when we did episode 2. So this is kind of a newer thing. So that kind of relates to the podcast, and we talk back and forth a lot about just what it's like kind of starting a whole new endeavor when you've been doing music for years or doing something else. So yeah, this conversation really is just two friends who haven't spoken in a while, face to face, like in person. We're just catching up, and he's just a really cool guy to talk to, and I really enjoy hanging out with him. And I know you guys are going to love this conversation, so I will shut up and get to it. Okay, it's because I plugged in the headphones.
Yeah.
Okay, starting now. All right.
Start over.
So I'm here with my friend Zach Mayfield.
Hey.
We are going to do episode 11. And Zach, for those of you who listen to the podcast already, who have been listening from the very beginning, Zach was episode number 2, which will be the first one on iTunes because I haven't uploaded episode 1.
Good job, man.
That. Someday I'm going to upload episode 1.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
But yeah, dude, thanks for doing another podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
This time I'm going to check it like very frequently to make sure we get the whole thing.
Yes.
And I'm not going to unplug the headphones again.
Good job, man.
But
I'm so stoked to be back because since first being on your podcast, that was kind of my first podcast experience in general. Mm-hmm. So because of you, I started listening to some podcasts.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like imagining people listening to us talk and how I listen to podcasts, and it's like, I don't know. I'm stoked.
Do you think that people feel like they're in the room? Like,
yeah, I do.
I always feel. Whenever I listen to my favorite ones, I'm just like, I feel like you're just a fly on the wall.
Exactly.
Just joining in on the conversation.
Yeah. Do you listen like when you're driving or just when you're sitting, or what do you do?
Well, I clean cars.
Oh yeah.
A lot. So like it's really loud. So you're supposed to wear earplugs anyways. Mm-hmm. So I just have like my skull candies and
nice.
I just I have like I said earlier, like I'm in the rabbit hole. So
yeah, that's so cool.
I'm listening to like just a whole schedule. Like every day there's like 5 or 10 episodes from just all kinds of random podcasts
Yeah.
that I'm checking out.
I love listening while I'm driving because I mean, I drive so much for like work and going for tours and stuff. So I have so much time in the car, and it just makes my drives go so fast.
Yeah,
and my
yeah.
brain is like engaged the whole time. Otherwise, I just like space out on the interstate.
Yeah, like if you're listening to music, you might
Yeah.
space out if you've
Yeah.
heard the songs before and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a lot of people now. Like because podcasting's becoming so popular, it's like so many people are like, wow, this is so much more entertaining than listening to like this album I bought.
Yeah.
That I'm gonna listen to on a loop nonstop.
Exactly. And what's cool is like, I guess like YouTube videos and like albums and stuff are so highly edited for the most part. But like podcasting is so raw. I love that. Like it's like you said, you're a fly on the wall and you're listening to a real conversation.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're not going through it and like if they said something they didn't want to say, they're not really taking it out as much. I mean, you can edit, but like it's just more like raw in general, you know?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that's definitely like a goal of mine with this podcast is to try to be as raw as I can. You know, like everybody, I'm sure you experience this whenever you're doing your vlog. Like you act different when you're on camera or like when you're being recorded. You just know, like when you know that you're being recorded, you want to try to look cool or try to sound cool or whatever. You know, like
that's really hard for me to do.
Yeah. But you know, like my goal is to just be me. You know, or like to try to be as authentic as possible.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
You do a really good job.
That's what I like about the podcast format. Though.
Yeah.
You know, it's
agreed.
Like, there's no rules. You don't have to try to sound like you're hosting a radio station. Like, welcome to K.
Welcome to Better Ideas. But no, I think like even like we just got lunch before this, and I feel like the way we're talking now is exactly how we were talking like while eating our little subs.
Yeah.
And so like the people I try to follow on YouTube and podcasts or people I look up to in general, I want them to be as real as they are in real life when they're doing their craft, like podcast or video.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do what you're doing, and like in my vlogs and my YouTube channel, whatever. When I turn the camera on, I try to just think of it as like that lens that I'm staring at is the person that's watching, instead of me trying to like be fake or be like over ambitious, like what's up, you know, like some people are like screaming at their cameras.
That's cool. Yeah, and I never thought of it that way because that's how. Like, I feel so awkward when I'm in here doing the intros. I'll literally wait until Sarah, like, is at work.
Yeah.
I'm just at home by myself.
Oh,
It's
yeah, I
so
get that.
weird to, like, pretend that you're talking to people when you're just by yourself in your house.
Yeah.
You know people are going to listen, but you're just like, this is, I don't know. I'm still getting used to it.
Especially when it's like, we're both just starting, so it's like we don't have huge followings yet. So it's like when I'm on the street and I like whip out my camera and it's facing my face and there's this giant lens pointing at my nose, like I know people around me are like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
Like, take a selfie with your iPhone. Like,
Yeah, seriously.
So it's like you just kind of have to forget the world and hone into that. But I think it's made me like care less about what people think and judgments and stuff, which is awesome. So
yeah, because like you just kind of have to accept that when you pull out a camera that big, like your setup, that people are just gonna stare.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Gonna be
I've come to face
all
it.
the time. So in a way, like the camera almost does change it, though. It almost changes any circumstance just by having the camera out. Like people act differently. Like we all. What is that? That's so.
I don't know what it is. I've noticed that because like I shoot a lot of weddings too, and like I just shot one 2 days ago, and as soon as like I point a camera, I try to be really inconspicuous when I'm shooting. I don't want people to know because I want to capture real emotion. But I notice as soon as somebody looks, like makes contact with the lens or whatever, they change immediately. If they're not used to cameras, like usually they'll smile, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm taking a video." Like, just do. I always say like, just do your thing. Like, just be you.
Yeah.
But it's like people just like they turn into something else, and I get it. It's hard. Like I'm still learning how to be genuine on camera, but. And like you with podcasting, like waiting till Sarah leaves or whatever, like you just want to be in your own world so you can be yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
It's hard.
Plus, I'll like say some stupid stuff, and then I'll re-listen to it, and I'm like, who do I think I am, dude? I'm like, delete. All right, let's do that again.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
Oh man, it's the best. But dude, okay, so it's been. When was episode 2? That had to be like almost a year ago.
No, it wasn't a year ago.
Was it?
No way. It was only a few months.
When did you guys get signed?
That was only like 4 months ago.
Was it 4 months?
Yeah.
Dude, it had to be more than that, right?
No, we announced like 4 months ago. I started my vlog 4.5 months ago, and my like announcement of Solid State was like the second episode. Second
Oh,
or third.
okay. Dang. That wasn't as long as I thought.
Year
I
ago.
thought it was close to a year.
Yeah.
but-
Well, we don't ever get to hang out because
Mhm.
we're always busy and I'm always gone.
Yeah.
So it
but-
feels like a long time.
Yeah, so last time you were in here, you hinted on the podcast
Oh
about a
yeah.
huge announcement.
We didn't even say it.
Yeah, and then I think that might have been part of the technical difficulty.
Oh
And I
yeah.
don't even know if it was in the podcast, but I mentioned it in the intro. I was like,
Oh yeah,
these
you
guys
did.
are going to blow up. Like, I already know
You're a
it.
sweetheart.
I'm calling it. And, yeah, you told me after we recorded, because I guess you forgot. that
Oh yeah.
You're like, oh, I forgot to tell you, like, we got signed to Solid State.
Yeah.
And, like, that's just, coming from, like, where I'm at, being in, like, just local bands and stuff like that and always being around it, I've never had any friends that just get signed to a record label that has some of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
Like, we were just listening to Emery in my car
Yeah.
on the way here, and, like,
Yep.
they were on Solid State for
It's
a while.
so weird.
And that's when I heard you guys' commercial a few days
On Bad
later
Christian.
while listening to, for those of you who know the band Emery, you may know the band Bad Christian podcast, or the podcast
Yeah.
Bad Christian. They had an
So
Earth
good.
Groans commercial.
Oh my gosh, that was
And
weird.
I was at work cleaning a car, and I just, like, dropped my headphones.
And called me.
Yeah, and I called you.
You were
I
freaking out.
I was like, "Oh my god!" And, like, I was with It was when Randy still worked with me. And
Yeah.
My boss is a good friend of mine. I was like, "You guys have to listen to this," and they, like, just put the headphones in
Yeah.
their ears, and they were like, "Earth Groans, like, isn't that your guys? That's your buddy's band, right?" Like, they're famous now.
What's weird about that is like I had never listened to a podcast before that, and like obviously Solid State told us that they're giving an ad, or putting us on an ad on Bad Christian. So of course I'm gonna listen to it, just hear what they're gonna say, and so that was my first time even listening to the Bad Christian podcast. And what was sweet is during that specific episode they were interviewing Matt and Robbie from the Classic Crime.
Yeah. Wasn't that the one when they were, like, on their bus or
Yeah,
something?
they were on tour.
They were on tour. At
And
the time.
they're actually my second favorite band of all time. So like it was so cool hearing like some of my heroes talk, and then like my band playing in an ad, like knowing those guys are listening to my band.
That
I was
is
like,
so crazy,
holy crap,
dude.
they probably think we suck. Like, I bet they were like making fun of us.
I
afterwards
don't
or
know,
something.
Matt Carter talked to you guys up a little bit. I know that's their, like,
Yeah.
cheesy segue to their ads that they have to do, but
Yeah,
I don't know, like, they're huge fan. All those guys are, like, huge fans of just, like, Tooth and Nail and Solid
Yep.
State and all that.
it's very intertwined.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, because if I remember right, didn't whoever started Solid State, like, that's kind of a spin-off of Tooth and Nail, right? That-
Yeah. So Solid State and Tooth and Nail are basically run by the exact same people as far as I know, and I don't know much.
Yeah.
I just show up and play guitar, but yeah. So like our representative, his name is Adam. He lives in Denver, and when we talk to him, it sounds like Tooth and Nail and Solid State are pretty much the same people behind the business. They're just kind of two different like faces because they like underneath them are two different segments of the music industry. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool.
So
It's weird.
What is different from being in a band that is super DIY, like how you guys have been for years? Because you guys are known as like that A Day to Remember type of band. It's like you've probably seen them play in your closet or in your basement, or like you guys just play everywhere. You know?
My gosh.
And
Closet.
now you're on what is in today's age a major record label. Like these guys have some of the biggest bands like August Burns Red and all those guys. Like they won a Grammy. They're on the same record label.
Actually, they're not on Solid State anymore. Sadly, they're on Fearless as of their previous record. But I mean, they released some of their most legendary records through Solid State, like Constellations and Leveler, Rescue and Restore, Messengers. It's insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely like some insane bands like The Chariot, Silent Planet, Fit for King, like, It's honestly, it's so our toes just touched under the table.
We're gonna play footsie the whole time.
I wish
we
you guys could
record
have seen
this.
that. But yeah, it's honestly really weird. Being on a label that I grew up listening to. Like, I remember, I don't know if I talked about this in episode 2 on your podcast, but like my family, when I was young, we would drive to church every Sunday. It was a 45-minute drive, and I would just be jamming Demon Hunter on my iPod Nano, my 1 gig. And like
Yeah.
Demon Hunter is like one of the bands that like first inspired me to love heavy music, and like now we're on the same label. Like they're still on Solid State releasing records, and I honestly just don't feel like I'm in a band that's cool enough to be with those. Like I'm not just trying to be humble. Like
Yeah.
I don't feel like we're as good as all those guys, and we're not. Like they're definitely like way more seasoned, and we've only been touring for 2.5 years, but it's pretty special.
At the same time, though, I'd say that there are a lot of bands that that are less seasoned than you guys that are on major record labels.
Oh, yeah, I can see that,
touring,
too.
Things like that. Like
Some
first
people
one I can think of is like Knocked Loose. You know, not to hate on those guys, but they are fresh out of the gate.
are
too,
they a
you know,
young
and they-
band?
Yeah,
I really honestly
think
don't know much
so.
about that band.
Yeah,
I saw them live and it was
I haven't
cool.
got into them too much. I just heard an interview with their lead singer, and the
Cool.
way that he made it sound, he's kind of in the same boat as you. Is like, yeah, this is kind of like a dream come true, but at the same time, like we never expected it to happen
Yeah.
this quick.
Well, it's
you
cool
know?
that he
Yeah,
has that stance.
yeah, definitely.
That's really cool. I need to look into them more.
Yeah.
The guys in the van, like all the other guys in my band, jam them a lot in the van. I've never been like super into it, but I definitely respect it. And I saw them at Warped Tour, and it was really cool. Like it was fun
I've heard
watching
they
them.
Put on a crazy show.
They really do.
Yeah.
A fight broke out during their set, and they just stopped. And they just like they pretty much waited till the guy was like removed from the place, and then just jumped back in the song halfway through.
That's cool.
And I respect that a lot because a lot of people would kind of like push that forward to make it more explosive. And
Yeah,
it was
make
cool that a
more-
band that's so like known for heavy hitting like music like was respectful like that.
Yeah,
That was cool to see
yeah.
firsthand.
That's one thing that I've thought was cool about most hardcore shows, because like, you consider you guys hardcore, right?
We call it just metal because it's confusing, I guess. But we definitely have some hardcore influence. But we're actually not super like accepted in like the hardcore. I don't want to say not super accepted because we've played with some hardcore bands that love us and we hit it off really well with them. I'd just say we don't really fit hardcore that well. We have a little bit of influence, but I'd say we have more metal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why do
or
you
like-
say that?
We don't have like the super like slow like beat down stuff or like the really fast like like over and over.
Oh, yeah. Like that
Hardcore's
quarter
cool.
time beat or
I'd say we
half
have more like old metalcore, like just like Riff City, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Riff City. for
We
sure.
mostly get compared to like we'd be kind of called like more of a modern Norma Jean by a lot of people, but Norma Jean's still way better than us, and so I don't really
But
know. Just metal.
I don't know. Maybe I'm new to this scene, but I would have thought that Norma Jean is kind of considered hardcore almost too.
Yeah.
But like old school hardcore.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah. I think we usually get the word I hear a lot is like we have old school influence, like just with like the way our structures are.
So
and
would
stuff.
that have been like that kind of '90s era hardcore?
Maybe
that-
or like early 2000s, I guess. Honestly, like it's hard for me to speak on this because I don't even listen to that much like really like older hardcore or even like I don't listen to a ton of heavy music either. Like I listen to a lot of chill stuff too. So
I feel like that's so many people in heavy bands.
it's pretty weird.
What is that? I don't get it.
I can only really speak for myself. Like for me, I'm constantly exposed to like loud music, like constantly, and I love it. I really do cherish it, and I enjoy playing it more than any other style because it's so freeing. But since I'm exposed to it so much, it's like, okay, I'm in the van, I'm gonna drive 5 hours. Like maybe I should just listen to some acoustic guitar or like some piano or. I listen to a lot of
Okay.
like older like funk stuff
You gotta
too.
have that polarity to
You really do.
balance things out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta keep the brain clean.
Keep the brain clean.
Yeah, exactly.
Clean your brain with the acoustic
Clean your
guitar.
brain. Yeah.
But dude, okay, so Solid State's been sick then, right?
It's been awesome, man.
That's cool. Congratulations again.
Thank you,
I'm
dude.
so excited for
Dude,
you guys. Like
it's-
just watching my friends do really cool stuff
Yeah.
is so like inspiring.
I
Makes
love
me
you.
wanna just, dude. Love you too, man.
Wait, before you go any farther, I want to
Okay.
say like congrats to you too though, because this podcast is freaking rad. And it's
Thanks,
so
man.
cool seeing it go around the web a little bit. Like I'm
Mhm.
seeing people posting about it
Mhm.
and people that I know in the scene and people I don't know in the scene. It's exposing me to new people and new artists.
That's
So
cool,
you're
man.
killing it,
I'm
dude.
glad,
Just
dude.
keep putting it out, man, because
I
you do a good job.
I plan on it. Like I was saying on the episode 10, I was like, this is a milestone, but
Yeah,
most apparently most podcasts don't make it to like episode 10.
really.
I've heard that
That's
on
actually really
several
interesting.
other podcasts. When they get to episode 10, they're like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, 90% of them don't make it this far or whatever.
Hmm.
And I'm just like,
Keep rising, dude.
it's so fun. Like I
Yeah,
just don't see a reason to slow down.
yeah,
And it's like I was saying earlier, podcasting is cool because it's so raw. Like we're just gonna record this conversation and then I'm gonna do an intro and outro,
yep,
upload it,
yeah,
and if people like it, they'll keep listening. And so far, they keep listening.
yeah.
And it's cool. Like I haven't had anything that I've done like music is kind of been my endeavor up until this point, but
Mhm.
I never saw the fruits of my labor
Yep.
as immediately
It's-
as I do with podcasting. So
Yeah.
I really, it is a gift, man. And I've
Yeah.
said that I think in other episodes that like this is just a gift
Yeah,
in my life because it's forming this network of people.
yeah,
It's getting my name out there. It's getting other people's art out there.
yeah.
And
I would also
it's
say
cool,
that
man.
it's your gift too, though, because not everybody could do this.
Hmm.
Like, you first of all, you have a great voice. You got like a deep manly voice and a big manly dog that bites my arm. But that's besides the point. But also like the time that you put into this, the investment, like it's not easy. Like to schedule a 2 to 3 hour hangout period with somebody
Mhm.
where both your schedules align, and then record an awesome conversation where you have notes prepared and this stuff. Like it's not easy to just talk to somebody like recording yourself and make it good.
Dude, yeah, and that's actually I forgot to mention it earlier, but that's what I was gonna say with the whole notes thing
Mhm.
is from what I learned from that from Gregory, that the journalist that
Yeah.
was on I think episode 6, and he was telling me like how to have the right amount of notes, like because
Cool.
that's something I've been kind of struggling with is
Mhm.
knowing like depending on who I'm talking to, I don't really know how much to write down because
Yeah.
I don't want to be sitting there like staring at the notepad the
Yeah,
whole time. Like,
definitely.
all right, what are we talking about next? Because then I'm just not like present. I'm not
Mhm.
really involved in the conversation. I'm more trying to like guide it
Yeah.
and move it to be more interesting. But
Mhm.
I found that a lot of the times it's more interesting when I'm just present and I'm like
Of course.
listening and there. So that's why I like I definitely like having people on that I've had before.
Yeah.
So like I'm not as worried about it. I'm not like, all right, I gotta check the notepad, gotta like make sure that
Yeah.
we're covering everything. But like so far I've found that like the minimum amount of notes that I take and the least prepared I am, the
Mhm.
better it goes. It's
Good.
weird. Like because then I kinda have to just be curious
Yeah.
and like really focus
That's a
on
good
the
point.
conversation. But yeah, it's
And you'll continue to grow as like the episodes go on. Like they'll
Mhm.
get better and better, which will be cool. I'm just stoked that I know about your podcast like in the very beginning,
Mhm.
so that I can follow it and see the growth.
Mhm.
Because I feel like a lot of people like, I don't know, like I'm trying to think, for instance, like some of my like friends or family. I have an amazing family, but like sometimes it's hard for like family to bite onto your passion early on because they don't see the results like you do. You have the vision. I have the vision, you know? So like a lot of people won't bite onto your vision until there's like reward from it. Like there's a following already. So I'm trying to bite onto your vision now while there's small following because I want to see it grow and then be there and be like, yes, I was there
That's
from
so
the
cool,
beginning.
dude. Yeah. Yeah.
I love
We're just
that.
gonna sit here and stroke each other's egos for like 30 minutes.
Let's talk
or
about
so.
how great we are, and then
Yeah.
look at our bank
All right,
accounts.
now I'm gonna return the compliment to you, but no, seriously though, ditto with that. Like I see the same thing with your vlog. You know, like you're starting something new, which is cool because you're in the same boat as me, where music was kind of the first
Yep.
thing that got you into this whole idea of being sort of a creative entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's your vlog's done this kind of the same thing where you start and it gets like 20 or 30 or whatever, however many views, and then every time it just keeps growing and growing,
exactly.
and more people care.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and by the way, you said the other day, like, tell me what you guys want or whatever on one of your vlogs. And I don't know if you saw my comment, but I was like, more tour vlogs.
Yeah. I got to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, how music was my first thing that kind of brought upon this wave of entrepreneurship in my life. So I'm trying to run a YouTube channel and get it to grow while being in like a full-time touring band and like full-time filmmaking to make money to pay my bills. Mm-hmm. So it's like I'm trying to make vlogs on the road. It's just really difficult to like be present with my band members and be there for people at my shows and perform well, like if I'm constantly vlogging on tour. So like that's one thing I'm trying to learn is how to like film a little bit every day and then make like kind of a highlight vlog for tours and stuff. So I'm working on one right now for our last tour, but dude, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's hard like doing all of that.
So has that been like kind of an issue?
It was.
You say like have
2
you had
tours
any guys
ago.
confront you like, hey man, we need your help? Like,
no,
you can't be
it was like
vlogging all day.
no, it was more of an internal issue that I found in myself. I wasn't like not loading gear or anything like that, but I was just so mentally like drained. So it was harder for me to like connect with people and stuff because I was obsessed with building this YouTube channel. So I was just like, I had to just pull back a little bit, reanalyze like what I want to push on my channel, and then like start going again. And yeah, it's been way better. I'm kind of pushing more like filmmaking stuff now, while incorporating band stuff.
Okay.
But
yeah,
that's just to be healthy for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just thought you were maybe spreading yourself a little thin.
Yeah,
like
I definitely
trying to do
was.
Too many things at once.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, relates to the conversation we had kind of last time. We were talking about minimalism.
Oh yeah.
I think that, like you learned that lesson with material things. It seems like a little earlier on, and maybe this past summer you've kind of been learning that with other things too. It's not just like, oh, I can't own a bunch of stuff. Like I can't spread myself thin with all of these different relationships and hobbies.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of focus on your priorities of like which one, to focus on.
Yeah.
But that's cool. It seems like you're figuring it out.
Yeah. There's a quote from Ron Swanson in Parks and Rec, which is my favorite show of all time.
Don't you have like all of them?
I do. That show just touches my soul. I don't know if I'm going to say this exactly right. But he says something in one of the episodes about never half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing.
Yeah.
Which I think is so cool.
Yeah.
And I don't think that means you can only do one thing in your life. But the things that you are doing, like, you need to be able to put your entire self into that to create this beautiful, like, real, raw art.
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to, like, play music every day, vlog every single day, go home, like, and then edit like videos for clients that night, like my material is not going to turn out good. So it's just like a matter of like healthy balance, really.
Yeah.
So I love that quote so much.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder.
So what are we going to see more of then? If you're trying to find that balance, is it going to be more filmmaking and touring or?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of filmmaking stuff and like lifestyle vlogs and stuff. I'm going to push filmmaking pretty dang hard just because, dude, I'm such a nerd for that. Like, oh my gosh.
Dude, you're freaking good at it.
If you ask Jordan, like literally like if I'm free like on a day, I'm just watching like tutorials on YouTube, like trying to gain knowledge and then like help other people with it too. But I'm still going to do like a lot of like tour material. Like I don't want people to be like, oh, no more tour vlogs. Like it's still going to happen very frequently. I'm just like, it's going to be more highlight style. Just more healthy. Yeah. Which in turn, I think they'll actually be better because I'll be more like motivated. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm glad.
It could change. You never know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. You'll probably evolve and go through phases of like what you're focusing on.
Of course.
More and
yeah.
So with filmmaking, is it mostly weddings and music videos for other bands?
Yeah.
Is that kind of the main?
Yeah. At first, it was like just weddings was my main thing for the first year. And then like I pushed music videos super hard, and now that's my primary, which I'm so stoked about because I mean I'm in a band, so that's what I love.
Plus, that's like really creative. Like you have to come up with new ideas every time.
It's so fun. I get to collab with bands and
yeah.
work on small budgets, which I actually like working with small budgets because then you're forced to be creative with a lack of resources.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I always say that like lack of I feel like having a lack of something sometimes forces you to have to
Yeah, 100%.
come up with something just crazy and
Yeah.
cool. Like I always feel like it's the same way with musicians. Like a lot of people will learn up into a certain point to where they can like write their own music,
Yeah.
and then it's like almost what the things that they're lacking in is what makes them really unique.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't have a huge budget, so you're gonna have to grow stronger in this certain area.
Yeah.
Because money is not as easy to come by as it is for some other people.
Dude.
But then you do that, and it's like you just curate this really unique style. I think that's like Green Day, basically. Like if you think about it, it's like he learned up to a certain point.
Yep.
And then he's like, all right, I can write my own songs now. And that's why they're so unique. It's like they just, they got really good at that one sound or that one thing, you know?
Yeah.
It seems like that's kind of what you're doing is you're getting really good at like this camera setup.
Yeah.
This, like the gear that you have.
Trying,
with
dude.
the minimum. You
Yeah.
know, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Especially for bands because we're all broke. And none of us can afford to pay you.
Yeah. You know, and that's like one thing I really like. I don't want to be that guy that just like charges way too much, especially for small bands. Like I've been in small bands my whole life, so I want to like obviously I want to be compensated fairly, but I want to help them push a professional image.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than like hearing a band like of your friend that you really care about and their recording sucks and the video sucks. Like, so I want to be part of like helping them have a great image because they really are talented, you know? So I like that a lot.
Dude, and you can totally just see it in the Midwest as a whole. Like all of these bands that are like they've only been around for like a year and they just have these phenomenal music videos. You're like, oh, Zach made it. Of course, that makes sense.
Dude, thank you.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
been so awesome.
I mean, it really is cool because it's like you said with the podcast earlier. I'm finding new bands because you'll do a video for them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'll check it out. Like that's how I discovered Zion. I think.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, and then you guys played a show with them, and I saw them, and then I had Nate on the podcast.
And they are so good.
They are so good.
Marcus, if you're listening, I love you.
I don't know if he is, but he needs to come on this show too. Actually,
Yeah, you should have him.
That dude's a really good guitar player.
He is definitely a better guitar player than I am, and he's just a big old teddy bear. Oh my gosh, he's so sweet.
Yeah. So yeah, we're making all kinds of connections here.
Yes.
Communities and all that.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, dude.
This coffee's so good. Thank you.
Is it?
Yeah.
Good.
I usually burn my coffee and
That's
just suck it up and drink it
that
anyway.
local stuff. In North Lawrence, man.
Okay, I want you, since we're kind of on the subject of like bands and junk, I want you to talk to me about like how are you handling not being in a band right now? Because I know you're so passionate about writing music and playing music. Just spill it to me, man. Seriously, I want to hear it.
Dude. Well, it's kind of like we were talking about in the car earlier. I'm in a place where I have like a stockpile. I have probably close to a full album's worth of music that I wrote.
Yeah.
And I just I don't know what to do with a lot of it, to be honest.
That's
like,
tough.
I consider myself somewhat of I think I heard this from Toby Morell originally, but he says an idea man. He's like, I'm not really super talented at one thing. Like, I'm not a guitarist. I'm not just a singer.
Okay.
I'm not just a drummer. Like I come up with ideas that I think could start the really cool songs. You know? Or like I'll come up with a structure, and like what I did with my old band with Better Ideas, the band, was like I would basically just write chords and lyrics and melodies and then bring it to those guys and be like, all right, now let's just jam on this, and you guys come up with whatever, and we just kind of let the songs evolve and curate over time. So for me, like your suggestion, just do the Jeremy route and just like record all of it and then start a band. Like I want to do that, but at the same time, I really like the way that some of the songs have curated over time, like with a band. So it's kind of hard for me to like, I'm sure most people would say this, like that write songs, but those are like my babies. You know?
Of course.
So it's like, how do I get somebody else or get anybody else to be attached to something like that,
Yeah.
you know, in the way that I am? And the answer is I don't really think you can. I don't know if you can, to be honest.
I get that. I really do get that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like right now, I'm trying to be optimistic, and I think I'm doing an okay job of keeping that positive mindset of like, really, I just have a lot of open doors, you know, like I have the podcast that's going strong and I love it. And that's kind of turning into my main thing over time, even though it was really supposed to just be a side thing. But I just had so much fun doing it. So it's like, I'll keep doing that constantly while maybe the podcast or whatever, some door will open and I'll make the connections I need to start a band or meet some other musicians that aren't in a band already that you know or who just want to do a side project, you know. I don't know, man. I don't know.
How old are you?
22.
You're 22. Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, I don't want to sound like the old dude, but you really do have like so much time. You know, like you don't really have to force anything. Like it'll fall into place. And like it's not like you're being complacent or stagnant. Like you're pushing something like this podcast really hard and doing a great job, and that's just going to lead to more connections and stuff.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
And as sad as I am that you're not like the Better Ideas band anymore, Better Ideas is like the sweetest name for a podcast. So I'm glad that that's like a standalone thing for the podcast now.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I was talking about that with somebody the other day. Like, I think that Better Ideas kind of is a better podcast name than it was a band name.
Oh, dude, it honestly like really is.
Yeah.
From like a media standpoint,
which is
it's
weird.
Such a good image.
So maybe everything does happen for a reason.
Yeah, who knows? And like your logo, I know I told you this earlier, but I gotta say it on air. Your logo is so sick, dude.
Dude, you want a sticker?
Yes.
I'll cut one out.
Put it on my guitar case.
I just got those made.
I'll just stick it on the front of my camera lens.
I'll cut one later. But
dude, thank you.
Yeah, dude.
Cool.
So yeah, as far as music goes, I don't know, man.
Yeah. You literally never know what's gonna happen. I had no idea that I was gonna be in Earth Groans. Like, it wasn't this huge, like, I don't know. Like, Jeremy posted on Facebook a few years ago, hey, I'm thinking about starting a band. And as a joke, I was like, hey, man, let me be in your band. And then here we are, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so you don't know what can happen.
At that point, had he already recorded, like,
he had
that EP?
Not the entire EP. He had written like propaganda, I think. I think he had like some basic song structures. And then it all came to life like after we started getting members and stuff. But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, just keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. And I've had other people say some like similar things, like, you know, just keep writing. Like and I am doing that. So yeah, I think charisma is the key to opportunity.
Yeah,
you know? So
that's cool.
if I just keep doing it, then like doors will open, or you know, maybe I can hop on another project or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that.
And it's not like that would really take away from the podcast. Like we were talking about balance and everything.
It
like,
would actually add to it.
Yeah.
You know, because like if I start, you know, like if I joined another band or if I started another band and we start traveling, that's kind of the idea that I had initially for this podcast. Because like when I started this podcast, I had a band and I had a 3-week long tour booked.
Yeah,
you know?
so you could interview people on the road.
Yeah, so the whole idea for the podcast was like to document being in a band and like kind of the beginning stages of that.
Yeah,
and it still kind of is that because I'm talking to bands that are mostly DIY and stuff like that. So it's still pretty true to the original idea. But yeah, I would still love to take this on the road for sure. And I bought the van, so I have
a call.
That, so.
Is that your mom?
Yeah.
Your mom's calling you. It's cute.
I'll call her back.
I love talking.
Sorry, Mom.
Sorry, Mommy.
Recording a podcast.
You just said mommy on the air. Dang it.
What else do we got?
Oh, man. What do we got? I don't know if my notes make any sense. See, I wanted to ask you certain stuff because I didn't want it to be like just me talking about myself.
Yeah, conversation format.
Yeah,
I like
baby.
That's what the whole second time on thing is.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we already got the backstory.
Thank God that's
so
done.
If you guys are curious and you're listening to know about Zach's life, then just go to episode 2.
It's pretty
We're
boring.
not gonna talk about that stuff. Boring.
Skip it. Just kidding. Oh
you,
my
you can
gosh.
listen to it in double speed, and I bet it sounds awesome.
Dude, I wonder what that would sound like.
I don't
It'd be
know.
amazing. Okay, let's talk about. I'm trying to think. Yeah, let's kind of talk about like, I guess since I was on your podcast, I got into podcasting a little bit, like listening, and so I've been listening to Bad Christian a lot, and the other one called The Liturgist, and both of those have been like wrecking my world,
Yeah.
like in my faith and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I mean, specifically The Liturgist, like you said you haven't heard these episodes yet, but there's 2 episodes called Lost and Found, and it's all about how Gunger and Science Mike like pretty much completely like deconstructed their faith, kind of abandoned their faith, and then like really searched and analyzed, and then built up to where they are now with their faith. So I kind of want to know like I just want to hear like about your faith and your beliefs, like out of pure curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah, just curious because we didn't really talk about that last time.
I feel like we could do that by just getting into our backgrounds a little bit.
Okay.
Because I feel like you and I might have kind of a similar background, like where
Well, yeah.
I wasn't raised like in church or anything like
Okay.
that, but I started going when I was 12.
And you went to Christian college, and so did I.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, man, I don't even know how to.
And if you don't want to talk about this, we don't have to.
No, it's cool, dude. Like, and that like I mentioned earlier, people have actually asked me about that and said like that episode that I did with my friend Will. We kind of talked about politics a little bit and just kind of like more relevant cultural stuff, and it had the most downloads out of any episode for a while.
Oh,
there.
cool.
And I don't know why, but I'm like, well, maybe that stuff you're not supposed to talk about is kind of like what everybody really wants to hear.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they want to hear people talk about.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. In terms of faith, like, that's something that I haven't been talking about for a long time.
Let's
like,
hear it.
Yeah. Well, I guess the reason I haven't been talking about it is just because of how can you be arrogant and call yourself humble at the same time? Is that a thing?
Sure, you can do whatever you want.
Like, I just feel like I'm in a place where I don't know anything.
Yep.
And I'm willing to admit that. And because of that, I feel like I get kind of brushed off by mainstream Christian culture.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't really feel welcome at, like a normal evangelist, like Christian church. You know? It's not that I don't feel welcome. It's not that they're bad people or anything like that, because, that's where I grew up. That's my home. Like, I started going to church when I was 12, and the place that showed me God is not a place where I find God anymore.
Yeah, I get that.
So yeah, I don't even know how I would put this into like a one podcast episode. 'Cause I have so much.
We can just kind of like scratch the surface maybe, and then like dedicate a
yeah.
different episode to it or something.
But because of like where I think I'll relate to you is about maybe it was after I dropped out of Christian college, and then I kind of just I wouldn't say was agnostic. It was kind of like that cognitive dissonance thing we were talking about, where it's like I never really abandoned my faith. I never proclaimed like I'm no longer a Christian, I'm no longer a believer or whatever, but I obviously didn't act like the stereotypical Christian for a couple of years. And I still definitely don't. But
I don't either.
Yeah.
I try not to.
That's kind of what I'm realizing is that, like, I think it was a C.S. Lewis quote that I heard somewhere where he said that sometimes walking away from God is your first true religious experience.
Yeah.
And I think I was going through what you were talking about. You're kind of in the process of going through for like about a year or two without even really knowing it.
Okay.
Like,
well, that's crazy.
Yeah. And like, I'd still go to church every now and then, and I still, like, I've never stopped reading my Bible. I've never stopped praying or anything like that.
Yeah.
But my beliefs in what I cling to has drastically changed as far as, like, fundamental beliefs go. And so I don't know. And I think a lot of Christians do this. And I even really think that this is part of the message that Jesus teached, is that idea of becoming dead to the flesh and
Yeah.
dead to sin, dead
Wow.
to the ego, dead, I think that that's kind of what this is.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that it's a very traditional Christian thought
I
to
don't think so
say
either.
that killing your beliefs for me has been what allowed me to kind of scratch myself all the way down to the ground level
Yeah.
and that rock,
Yeah.
and then find, oh, I still believe a lot of the same things, but I don't believe them in the same way.
Yes.
They mean
Yeah.
something so different
Of course.
now. So
Yeah.
I don't know what.
I think a lot of people like I say like I think it's much scarier to like not question anything than to like go on this huge journey of questions and not know where you're going to come out on the other side. I think it's scarier to not even consider doing that. Like I want to like for those of you who are all wondering kind of what we're talking about like deconstructing our belief systems and faith and like kind of tearing them down to really pick apart like why do we believe what we believe, or like have we just been kind of like programmed to believe certain things?
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know if the listeners even know this, but both you and I have sort of a evangelist, I guess you could
Yeah.
say, background in
Yeah.
Christianity, and we both, are just normal Midwestern Christians or have
Bible
been.
belters.
Yeah, the Bible belt,
And it's
like,
crazy, like you've been kind of like you said, like on this path of like deconstruction and just curiosity and searching for much longer than I have. Like I'm literally just starting it because I've been raised pretty traditionally. My college was like very evangelical, and I've always been like a very skeptical person. Like when we go to random churches on tour and stuff, like I'm like just listening to the pastor so intently because I'm like challenging every word that comes out of his stinking mouth. Like I'm like, I am
and
not
you've
just
always been
gonna.
like that?
I've been like that for a really long time, and I think I'm just kind of a internally like kind of a hard-headed person. But I'm glad because I don't want to just like hear things at face value, accept it, and then live it. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I really want to challenge it and stretch it and weigh it out with like scripture and what I always want to weigh things out with how Jesus lived. The ultimate demonstration of like loving people.
Yeah, yeah. That's I guess something that has kind of kept me from talking about it is that idea, like you mentioned earlier, of that like it's a slippery slope, and
Yep.
the thing is, it is a slippery slope. Like there's no denying that.
Yeah.
But when you get down to the bottom of it, God's still there.
Yeah,
Like
I've heard it described like that by Science Mike as well on the Liturgist podcast.
That might be where I heard it.
Yeah.
None of my own ideas are.
I think he compared it to like drinking out of a bottle. Like that first sip is like when you first start to like abandon, and when you get to the very bottom, it's God is there, but it's not the same God that you knew before.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that's good
Mm-hmm.
because you see more clearly.
Yeah, and I don't know, but it seems to me like the church as a whole, or I guess Christian culture, because I think the real church is something that kind of surpasses and is just beyond all of that. All of the restraints. Like the real church, I think, are the people that that embody love. The people like you that even though your theological and fundamental beliefs may contradict someone else's, like I've never had you tell me that what I'm doing is wrong. And see, like that's kind of where I've had my issues, is that I've been told, or I don't know if anyone ever really directly told me like, hey, don't doubt, don't ask questions, don't, but it just feels like that has never really been encouraged. Like, hey, if you doubt, then that means you fear, and if you fear, then
Something's wrong with you.
yeah, then something's wrong. And if you if you don't cling tightly to the heretical standard that we all read the Bible, then you're weak in faith.
Yeah.
And just from what I found over the past couple of years of being somebody who I, at the age of 12, would say, you're not a Christian.
Yeah.
Being that person for the past couple of years has kind of given me more faith.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
I get it, dude.
Although to the average churchgoer, I probably look like a pagan. You know?
Yep. Yeah, we're a couple of heathens for sure.
Yeah.
It's always weird, like, walking into a church on tour, like, just all black, greasy hair, tattoos, like, the looks we get are just, it's just honestly hilarious to me now.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so fun. And we meet a lot of really cool people, too. Like, there's a lot of really good, like, Christians, but.
Yeah, and Christian culture is changing, and it usually is kind of behind on things, so it's to be understood. But, at the same time, like, I just feel like there's a lot of cognitive dissonance in the church, and that is in reference to, like, how many people say that they believe in a literal heaven and hell.
Yep.
But their life, if you look at it, doesn't really resemble that of somebody who has those beliefs.
Yeah.
Because if they really believed that most of the people that they know are going to burn for all of eternity,
They'd be doing something about it.
they'd be doing something. They would embody that love for sure. And because they'd want to be casting out that darkness.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that those people are wrong or that they're bad. It just seems like they're intentionally hiding something from themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to go about that, because nobody wants to be told that they're wrong, or that that you don't have to hold on to a literal interpretation of anything to still let the words speak to you.
Yeah.
In a really true
Yeah.
and, like, awesome way.
And that's like one thing I'm really starting to deconstruct. Like, for instance, Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 are like two differently written accounts of creation. And why have I never seen that in my entire time in Christian college? Like it's so weird. Why in the first two chapters of the Bible would it be like what seems like two different ways or methods of creation? Like, so it's like, is Genesis literal? Is it figurative? Is it symbolic? Like, is it metaphorical? Whatever. Like, it's cool to ask these questions. Whereas in church, I don't want to just like cast this terrible shadow over the entire church of the United States or whatever. But like in a lot of churches, a lot of settings, like I feel like that would be kind of not accepted. Like talking about that.
Yeah, it's just kind of frowned upon because doubt is, you don't want to cause your brother to stumble. That's that verse.
But then everybody's living like fake because they're not willing to dissect.
Okay, before I get into it.
This is a lot.
What? No, dude, this is totally awesome. Because this is the kind of stuff I want.
I love it.
Like, I'm sweating because I love talking. Like,
you're a hot mess.
Do you ever get that? Like, your palms get sweaty? When like, when I talk about this kind of stuff, it really does, like, hit home with me. And, like, I feel it because I don't want to be right. That's not my goal.
Yeah.
And I just feel like for a lot of people, they kind of lie to themselves, and that is their goal. And they want to be right, and they want to be confident, and they want to, stand on the rock.
Yeah.
And that is the goal. But I think that, and this is just my opinion, and then I want to know, like, all about your deconstruction and how that's going.
Okay.
But I guess my statement is that when Jesus said that he's the way, the truth, and the light, I think that he laid out an example. And when he said to be holy like me, I don't think that he meant that sarcastically. I think that it's possible. And I think that he was trying to show us how to be our true self, who we really are, without any hindrance of ego or pride or fear or anything like that.
Okay.
But I think where everyone is, not everybody, but at least where I'm being led, is that rejecting fear doesn't mean being free of it. And rejecting sin doesn't mean being free of it.
Okay.
I believe that embracing it does. And letting go of your own ideas and your own hindrances that cause you to see yourself as anything other than who you truly are.
Okay.
Because I think that when you reject sin and you reject fear, then really you're kind of giving it the fuel that it needs to exist.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oof. Dude, that's cool. That's really awesome. I want to hear more about that.
Cool.
We gotta like have more conversations like later about this too.
Yeah, dude,
That's
absolutely.
sweet.
But I want to know how your I don't know if it's even good to like encourage deconstruction, but like I want to know how that's, how that's going. 'Cause we
Yeah.
got into a little bit on episode 2, just like
Yeah.
just kind of what you believe, but I want to know like how that's changed over time and
Mhm.
kind of where you're at now.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm like so stoked about it
Hmm.
because I feel like I have a solid like foundation in like scripture and stuff, and I don't know everything, not even close, but like just because like I've been raised that way, and I really do love it. Like I love learning like how Christ lived.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm not like saying, "Oh, I'm an atheist now." Like
Hmm.
I'm gonna be a jerk or whatever. Not that atheists
Taken.
are jerks. That's not what I
See
meant.
y'all in hell.
See in heck. No, like I'm stoked to actually ask myself the hard questions. And I feel like let's just take like atheists for example. Like I feel like my whole life I've seen like the idea of being an atheist like they're bad people. Like that's kind of like what I feel like I've been trained to think. But like after starting this process of deconstructing my faith, I'm like I get it. Like I get why you're an atheist. Like this is not easy. Like the
Yeah.
Bible is not this like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I'm gonna believe in it. Like
Yeah.
there's some weird stuff.
Yeah,
Like there's
when
some
you really
freaky.
take it for like what it is.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. I get why people think that Christian beliefs are freaky. Like I totally get it.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm just kind of like gaining this sense of like openness to like other people, and like by questioning my own beliefs, I feel like I'm learning to love people more. Because it's like I can relate with an atheist or an agnostic or a Buddhist or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I get it,
It's
you know?
like almost it's like you're exercising an empathy muscle.
Yeah,
you didn't know
seriously.
you
That I
had.
and it's like I wonder like if the church did that, would we all love people more? Like would we have more love in the world if we just like I guess okay, something I keep coming back to in my mind right now is a like oddly enough, it's a Silent Planet lyric, and I don't want to like say this is exactly what his lyrics mean because I don't really know exactly what this lyric means to Garrett or to Silent Planet.
And Garrett, if you're listening,
Garrett, if you're listening,
I'm just stoked. He's
we're
probably
label
not.
mates, and I know you're not listening.
We're both fans of you though.
He's a freak.
Yeah.
So there's this one lyric that says, "Trade your certainty for awe," and I've been like
Yes.
hearing on multiple accounts of like the sin of certainty, and there's such a danger of thinking you know everything, like thinking you know exactly what God is or who God is,
Yeah.
like or what He wants or
Wow,
what He
dude.
thinks.
I like that
Certainty is a scary thing to me. So like trading this sense of like knowing for a sense of awe is so beautiful because it's like, you know, like I don't know if Genesis is real. I don't know if the earth was created in 7 literal 24-hour periods or millions of years, but I'm so open to whatever it is because it's like, who am I to decide that? Like
Yeah.
I'm this little human.
Better yet, in the long run, does it matter?
Does it matter?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, I think it's fun. Like, it is so fun to learn about this type
Yeah.
of stuff. But to me, I get what you're saying because I think that I've kind of been more in awe of it lately because I let go of forcing it into this rabbit hole or this pigeonhole of
Yeah.
like, this is what it needs to be for
It just
me.
boxes it all up.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
not possible.
And and I could literally get into like church history. Like,
Yeah,
all
we'd be skeletons by the end of this
we
podcast. We gotta like
I
keep
could
it
go on
going.
this forever, but I really do think that somewhere, and I would pinpoint maybe the beginning church fathers of like Catholicism and all that. They when those words love God and love people and that idea of being a child in awe of the world, when that was turned into doctrine and in organization, I still think that there's truth there.
Yep.
But I just think that whenever you have this structure, this thing that needs to be something, then you give up its ambiguous nature of that. Anything, I heard this quote, dang it, who was it?
George Washington.
Nope. I think it
I was just being
it was George
dumb.
Washington.
You're like,
great
no.
theologian. Said anything that you can comprehend is not God.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
man.
wanting to say that might be an Alan Watts quote, but I'm
Okay.
not sure. But
That's really interesting.
yeah, it's just kind of that is, to me, that's the idea, and that's why I'm so in awe of it,
Mm-hmm.
is that I see God as that thing that is everything that I am and everything that I'm not, but everything I can't comprehend.
Yeah.
Everything that loving force that sort of just guides
Yeah.
the whole universe.
Who are we to say like what he is and isn't? Like,
Yeah.
can our little minds even wrap?
Yeah, and that's why I love that story of, I think it's Jacob, when he says, I am who I am.
Yep.
Is you don't even have to put a name on it.
Yep.
And we do. That's just human nature. It's
Yeah,
all
we have to label
pattern
things.
recognition. We all want things to fit in our little boxes.
Yeah.
That make sense to us, and that's what gives us that ego. That's what gives us that confidence to go out about in the world and know who we are and what we stand for. Is because everything that we know fits nice. And
It's all
clean,
laid out.
and into these little boxes. But God can't.
No.
And I think that we've made him into something that can, and that's, I think, where faith comes in is, if you've done that, then where is your faith? Because faith clings to nothing.
Yeah. And so like the deconstruction process is kind of shedding those like egos and the certainty to really like figure out like what or who is God and all of that. So it's a really beautiful process that I'm excited about.
Yeah.
Because I just want to like be able to love everybody. Like, I don't know. Trying to think, like, there's like this statement that was published recently, this series of articles called the Nashville Statement.
Did you see my post about it?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh,
I've been I've been asking a lot of people about it, and nobody's been seen it that I've asked, so I'm glad that you've seen it.
It's weird. It's like really big in Christian culture, but anywhere like outside of that, it seems like for the most part, people haven't really heard of it.
Yeah, so I just like, I mean, there's a lot of kids that, I mean, there's a lot of, I don't want to just say kids, like a lot of people that come to like heavy shows that are just like broken people, and there's a lot of like tension right now in our culture with like the LGBT community and between the church, and like there's so much like hate, and it's so elevated right now, and the Nashville Statement is just like the cherry on top. Like, why? Like, what? Why do we just feel like we need to express our opinions instead of loving them?
Yeah.
Like,
so
they are equals, like people, like.
Yeah.
So I want people in all communities, like LGBT, like every race, to be able to come to like shows and like just like fit, like you're a person or I'm a person.
Yeah.
You're a human, like let's hang out.
What do you think it is? And this is such a touchy subject.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I feel like you and I are both in a place where we could talk about it and not offend people, at least, because I think we both probably see it in a similar light.
Okay.
Like, what is it though? Do you think that people are so afraid of that they can have that sort of xenophobic attitude? Like we're taught as Christians to love our enemy.
Yeah.
And we can't even love somebody who's not only are they not our enemy, but they're somebody who kind of wants to be part of our community.
Yep.
Is from what it seems like.
Yeah.
And we're not really allowing that. We have Christian leaders that are drawing a line in the sand on whether or not you're a Christian based off what you believe. But when did what your doctrinal belief dictate your salvation? When did that come into play? I just don't get that. What is that?
Yeah, there's a couple things that come to mind. One is, first of all, just starting with what Jesus has said. Like, he specifically said, like, don't go around pointing out the speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own eye. And that's such a, like, that just, like pulls me back. And it's like, oh, I have no right to be pointing out people's issues when I have, like, all this crap I'm dealing with. Like,
seriously.
Let's, like, look at ourselves and analyze ourselves before we start, like, saying, hey, you suck at this. Like, hey, you're less of a person. Like, think about your own
sinning.
Yeah.
Like,
we have no right to condemn.
Yeah.
We should like just like show love and humbleness. Or humility, sorry, not humbleness. And then I think people are kind of just like afraid to look at themselves, so they kind of have to like project. So like they kind of just like project either their sinfulness or like their fear of being caught or whatever it is onto another topic. And like the LGBT community is so like elevated in the news right now, so like that's an easy target. And it's like we shouldn't be adding to the target. We should be like pushing love out. Like instead of writing the Nashville statement, all these articles saying we should depart the faith if we support homosexuality, like we should say like forget those articles like, hey, I love you. Like I don't know what you believe, or like I struggle too, like, or and maybe they're not seeing themselves as struggling. I don't know. I don't even know what's right or wrong. You know,
He's
like
like, I don't even know what I believe.
yeah,
So why does it matter?
yeah. I don't have all the answers. Like, can we just like sit down and have dinner and talk and like be friends? Like, you know, like
Yeah.
I feel like that would go a lot farther than like writing this huge statement and signing it and saying, well, if you believe this, you're not a Christian.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So do you think, like, from what you're saying, it seems like you think that a lot of this is kind of fear driven. You know, like you said, they're projecting their fears or what their sin or whatever it is on this other group that they may not interact with every day.
yeah,
You know?
I think
'Cause
so.
I think, and I know this is a common argument, so take it with a grain of salt, but people have often made the correlation between like the way that we see black people,
Yeah.
you know, versus homosexuals or the LGBTQ community, because whenever we weren't integrated, it was easy to call someone else the other.
Yeah.
But then obviously now the science is there and we're integrated with all kinds of different races and ethnicities and cultures. It's kind of hard to be racist whenever you figure out that, oh wait, these people that don't look like me, they're just like me.
Yeah.
And or they're not, and that's really cool. And I
Yeah.
have an opportunity to learn about them.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of a similar thing where we see this really small group of people as a minority, and it's easy when you don't see them or interact with them every day to call them the other, you know, and to be xenophobic and to project your fear, like you were saying, out onto them. But it seems like over time, with, you know, the more that becomes accepted and integrated into our culture, that it just makes sense that at some point everyone comes to this point where they're like, wait, this is totally fine. Doesn't bother anybody. Like, you know, everybody gets to that point. It was the same thing with alcohol.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true.
it's like everyone is always afraid of what they don't know. But then once you get to know it, you realize, hey, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like,
And even if you're like the most traditional Christian in the world and like you really think like if like you're so adamant about telling somebody they're sinning, like it's just so much more effective to like talk to a person and love a person than to point out what they're doing that you think is wrong.
yeah.
I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't see the benefit.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't think there is a benefit.
Yeah. Would you call that like judging unjustly?
Yeah,
Or-
I feel like that's condemnation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so do you think, and I think for a lot of people, especially people who grew up in a religious tradition, it kind of comes down to a matter of like how they read the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like the affirming Christians, if you look at it, all of them that are gay affirming are usually the ones who don't cling tightly to a literal translation of Scripture.
Yeah.
And they're able to like put themselves in that culture and in that time and really analyze Scripture in a way that translates to 2017, basically. Not that the other way of looking at it doesn't, but the other way is a literal translation, which is, I think, most fundamentalist evangelical culture. And that seems to be something that none of us can really get on the same page about, is like how to read the Bible.
Yeah.
That seems to really be, when you get down to it, like the fundamental problem in all of faith is, do we take these words literally? Or do we take them metaphorically? Are some of them apologetics? Are some of them a metaphor? Is it like, what is fact and what isn't? And I think there are a lot of people kind of taking that step to just say, let's take one piece at a time and figure out what we think about it. And how does this relate to our culture now? Like when Paul is talking about homosexuality, is he talking about the same homosexuality that we are in 2017, being that was 2,000 years ago and he was a Jewish rabbi before he became a Christian, who obviously is going to bring over some of that theology into his new faith. So had he ever even seen a consensual homosexual relationship? You know, so not that is an argument for or against homosexuality or anything like that, but I think that
it's just important to dissect that.
Yeah, it's just important, I think, for everybody personally, not to join the group, but to do the work on your own.
Yeah.
You know, and just like really study it. And if you have something that is causing you a problem, or that you're afraid of, or that you hate, or that you're calling a sin, odds are it seems like to me there's something that those people aren't facing within themselves. Almost every time. You know?
Yeah.
Like I don't know anybody who projects that fear onto somebody else. Like, say it is homosexuality. Like, say there's a guy who just hates gay people.
Yeah.
I think that he might be struggling with his own sexuality.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. Not every time, but I just think that fear comes out in one way or another if you don't embrace it.
Of course.
And it seems like if you aren't able to embrace it and reconcile it within yourself, then you don't have a choice but to project it onto others.
Of course. What
else can you do?
Yeah.
You know, because when you're afraid of yourself, or you're afraid of certain parts of yourself, then how could you not be afraid of other people, or afraid of people that you don't know?
Whoa, that's a great point. I love that.
I don't know. It's just a thought.
Dropping knowledge over here.
Thanks, man.
Knowledge bombs.
But yeah,
that's really cool.
I like these conversations.
I do too. I just feel like we can get really detailed, but like at the end of the day, like if we all just try to show grace and love, like no matter how much we know or don't know, we should just like come alongside people.
Yeah.
Like that's where like
meet them where they are.
That's where like community is built, not in like just stating what you believe and hating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a testament, like, to show how you and I have become friends over the years.
Yeah.
And this is like literally the first conversation we've had.
Yeah.
God, really.
This is awesome.
About it. So I mean,
I'm stoked. I'm a lot more free this month too, so we just gotta like hang out.
Yeah, dude, we totally should.
That'd be cool.
But I don't know. It's kind of like that idea of like, I think, not to like toot our own horn or to toot your horn too much. I know we've been sitting here just complimenting each other back and forth for like an hour.
You're perfect.
But like I think, and that's why I've thought that you might have a similar theology to me, or you might at least be going through a lot of the same things, is because whenever you and I talked, I had heard that you were a Christian, or that you guys were a Christian band, but you never preached at me. You know, none of you guys have ever told me like, hey, this is what you need to believe, or like, I've never gotten an argument with any of you about theology.
Yeah.
Or normally when there is, you know, a very religious, in quotations, person, I find myself getting into an argument with them.
I agree. I mean, I just feel like it's so ineffective to just simply stand on stage and preach at someone. Like, I feel like real, like, being effective, like, really comes from, like, being a servant.
Yeah.
Like, just being there with someone. Sometimes you don't have to say a word. Like, just hearing somebody, and just to genuinely hear them.
Yeah.
Not to, like, hear them and then say what you believe. Like, just listen to somebody.
Hear them, like, just waiting to say what you need to say.
Because that could help somebody so much. Like, sometimes I just need to be heard, you know? Like, like all people, like, need to be heard, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
You're cool, dude.
I'm glad your walk is going good.
Thanks, dude. Thank you. Yeah, I'll keep you updated.
Yeah, dude. And, I mean, you did it. You brought up the whole faith thing, but...
Yeah, I know.
Dude,
I wanted to bring that up just to see where you're at and stuff, so.
Well, anytime you want to talk about that kind of stuff, I love it, man.
I got your number.
And yeah, dude, for sure. I got some books.
Dude, yeah.
But yeah, dude, what else?
What else is? Do we got anything on those little notes there?
I mean, we went over everything on the list. But,
Oof.
And we're getting there. It's like an hour.
Heck yeah.
What do you think?
It's
Should we
the
just
best
go
hour of
all
my
day?
life. I think so. Just plug your computer in, get an external hard drive, and let's just fill it up.
Let's just fill it up.
Let's order some Jimmy John's.
All right. Now we're going to recite a verse.
Second Hesitations 3, verse 4.
Oh, man. Dude.
Gosh.
Well, is there anything else you want to, like, plug? Like, what's going on in the near future? Like,
near future.
With Earth Groans, Mayfield Creative.
Oh, well, Earth Groans. I just stuttered so bad. I was like, whoa. Earth Groans, we're going to Germany in December. That was like...
What? Oh, wait. I think I...
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I saw your post saying you were going overseas. But
yeah.
Freaking Germany.
Yeah, we're going to Germany, dude.
That's
Deutschland.
So sick.
Yeah, so...
Those shows are going to be so big.
Dude.
They don't get that many shows in Germany.
Well,
From
it's
what I
also
hear,
it's a
like, they're
festival
always
too.
packed.
So it's this giant festival called Christmas Rock Night,
Mm.
and they fly over like all these American bands. And so we're playing both days. We're playing the main stage one day, and then the side stage the second day. And I think there's gonna be like at least 1,000, maybe 2,000 people, maybe more. I don't know, but
It's gonna be awesome.
so we're just there for like 2 shows, but they're gonna be like the biggest shows we've ever played.
Mm-hmm.
And we're
That's cool.
and
I've
it's-
heard just from like other bands and stuff, they're saying whenever they go to like Germany or Russia,
It's
or like
nuts.
some of those countries where they don't get a whole lot of rock shows, like when you do,
they freak.
everybody goes.
Yeah, dude,
And
I'm
it's gonna
so
be
pumped.
insane.
I'm so pumped to experience like, I mean, it's my first time going overseas.
Mhm.
My first time playing a big like huge festival like that. So,
So have you ever left the country before?
nope, it's my
Wow.
first time.
That'll be a
Got my
heck of a
passport
first.
and everything, ready to hit it.
That's so
Got the
sick,
flights
dude.
booked. So I'll be like vlogging every day in Germany,
Mhm.
just so like people can follow it and just.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a beautiful experience. Like,
Yeah, it'll be awesome.
I'm even trying to like learn a little bit of basic German just so I can like ask for water or bathrooms and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
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 So I'm not totally illiterate over there.
Yeah. I've heard people are pretty friendly over there.
Cool.
That's cool. Also, really honest. I've heard people
Really?
are like really honest.
I've heard they have good beer there. I'm excited
Oh
about
yeah.
that. I'm gonna
Yeah,
try some
I'm sure
German
of
beer.
that. I think it was Emory they were talking about. Like the second time they went there, they were like, "Oh, you did really good. Much better the first time, but really good this time." Like, they're like, "Thanks."
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
Oh,
be
that's
prepared
great.
for that. They'll tell
Good.
you like honestly.
That'll keep me
what they
humble.
think.
Your
Yeah.
your band sucks.
You
Thank
guys could
you.
be better, but I liked it. Really good.
That'll be great. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I guess the only plugs I have are like if you like heavy music, at least listen to our record "Renovate" by Earth Groans. It's on every platform you can imagine.
Yep, which was just re-released by Solid State Records.
Solid State Records, baby. It's a
Heck
dream come
yeah.
true. Seriously.
Yeah.
And then if you're into any sort of lifestyle videos or anything in filmmaking or tour stuff, check out my YouTube channel. It's just Zachariah Mayfield. I have a big name. I feel like that might hinder me sometimes.
Zachariah.
Zachariah Mayfield.
Yeah, I always have trouble spelling it. I'm like CK,
Yeah, it's a mess. I'm gonna get it
It
changed
works,
to
though, dude.
Lester.
Lester.
Lester Mayfield.
Lester.
Just change.
All right, so hit up
Rebrand
Lester,
myself.
Lester Mayfield.
Rebrand.
Do it. Rebrand to Lester. I bet you'll get way more followers that way.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
100%.
Cool, man. Well, the band's doing good. The record label's doing good. The vlog is doing good.
Oof.
It's got so much cool stuff going on, dude.
Thank
I'm
you,
so
man.
stoked to see people like you and Sweet Ascent and Zion and all these cool bands that I'm kind of making friends with.
We have a
that-
cool scene.
Yeah.
This
yeah,
area is
we
really
really
rad.
do. Like,
It's like the gem of the Midwest, honestly.
yeah.
This area.
Yeah, this whole area. And I think it's because of people like you guys, man. Honestly, like you're connecting the scene in a way that I've never seen before, just because like all of these bands that normally wouldn't be in cahoots or like communicating with each
Yeah.
other are getting music videos done by the same guy. You know? So it's really cool. Like I haven't seen more, and I am kind of new to the scene, but
Yeah.
lately it just seems like a really tight knit community.
It's
Like,
it's
so
getting good.
cool.
I really truly believe that it's growing.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like everybody's like, oh, it was so good in 2008 or whatever. Like
Yeah, like early 2000s.
yeah,
Get Up
I
Kids
really
and
think it's
stuff.
on like an upward like rise for sure.
Yeah. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people really know in this area is how big it used to be.
Yep.
You know, and
I sure
it's
don't.
kind of died down for a little bit. All right, here's an example. I read this somewhere. Rolling Stone, I think it was in 2000 or 01. Rolling Stone magazine said that Lawrence had the best music scene between Denver and Chicago.
Whoa.
That it was like the Seattle of the Midwest.
What?
Yeah, because
That's
like
amazing.
the Get Up Kids, Spoon, like there was a whole bunch of big like emo and punk rock bands
Yeah.
that kind of blew up, and then that scene kind of grew up and is not really died out, but kind of been more of an underground thing for a while. And I think that once that older scene kind of makes the connection with like you guys and Sweet Ascent, and,
Yeah.
like we kind of bridge that generational gap or
Mhm.
that taste
Yep.
gap that we
sure.
all have. Like I think things are about to get crazy.
I agree.
I really do.
I think we're like hopefully like coming towards like the tail end of a transition phase.
Mhm.
Because like I mean just there's just a lot of changes happening with like for instance, like streaming becoming like pretty much the main source.
Yeah, and
And we just
like,
kind of got to embrace it and go with it.
Yeah, yeah. And
It's
like
tough.
music's trying to find a way to sort of evolve and get back to what it used to be because everything's basically free now. So you don't see the big rock stars as much anymore, especially locally. But I don't know. It seems to me like we're in the eye of the storm right now.
Yeah, dude.
Like
Irma.
Like you got Irma. Hopefully not.
Yeah, no more Irma, please.
Yeah,
get out of here.
Freaking hurricanes, man.
Yeah, too many.
But yeah, man, I'm so stoked on you guys and everything you guys are doing. All the other bands. Stoked about the podcast. I'm
stoked about your dog sitting on my feet right now.
Yeah.
Freaking huge dog.
Yeah.
So cute.
Cool, man.
Dude, yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on again, dude. It's been awesome.
Yeah. Anytime, man. We'll wait a couple months. We'll do another.
Yeah.
But we should probably shut up before we go too much over. So. All right. Well, thanks for.
Peace, everybody.
Yeah. Later. Hey, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in all the way to the end. A couple ways you can support me, support the show, keep this going, keep it growing, is keep listening. That's the number one way that you can contribute. You guys are doing a great job of that so far, so keep up the good work. A close second would be to go to patreon.com/betterideas, where you can choose to contribute monetarily. That's kind of my main website or my main platform. You can also just subscribe to it on iTunes and leave a review. You can leave a review on Facebook. You can subscribe to it on YouTube. Just any subscription, any review. If you like the show, just let me know. That would mean the world. So until then, I hope you guys have a good week.